Guys, my name is Ankush Gaurav and I welcome you to Contour series. In the last tutorial, we learned the concept of a ManyToOne mapping in a Hibernate application. Now in this tutorial, we'll proceed a little further and we'll understand the concept of a bidirectional ManyToOne one-to-many mapping in a Hibernate application. So let's start. I showed you two tables at the start of earlier tutorial and said that the student table is having a many-to-one relationship or a mapping with the student address table. And then I showed you how to establish the same relationship or a mapping at the Java code level in Hibernate classes. If you look over main class, here I'm just inserting two student objects into the student table. But what Hibernate did when I ran the application, it not just inserted these two student objects into the student table, but also inserted the related student address object into the student address table. So the idea is, if you have this relationship defined in a student class, then Hibernate will automatically perform an action on the student address object if required when an action is performed on the student object. This auto cascade feature you can control using the cascade type property of many-to-one annotation in the student class. This is a kind of a one-directional auto feature you just achieved. Now if you want this feature in other direction too, that is, whenever you perform an operation on the student address object, Hibernate should perform an operation on the related student objects too. Then you will need to write some extra code in the student address class. Here, just add a collection set of student class along with its getters and setters method, and on top of it, just mention a one-to-many annotation with the cascade type and map by properties. And you're done. Let's understand what we just did. If a student class is having a many-to-one relationship with the student address class, then it's but obvious that the student address class will have a one-to-many relationship with the student class. And because of that, a student address class will always refer to a collection of student objects and not just a single student object. And that's the reason I created here a reference of a collection set of student class with the annotation one-to-many on it. And I put here the cascade type all, which means that for every operation I perform on a student address object, Hibernate is automatically going to perform an action on the related collection set of student objects. I'm going to dedicate a full tutorial on this map by concept in the next tutorial. So for now, just ignore it. Let's hit running. Here in the main class, earlier I inserted records into the student table, and Hibernate automatically inserted a record into the student address table without me writing a save statement to do so. Now with all these changes, I'm going to do the reverse. I will insert a record into the student address table, and Hibernate will automatically insert the related student records into the student table. Here I'll do one more thing. I will assign the student object references to the collection set property of student address objects. Now I'm going to save only student address object, and what I'm expecting with the additional code I've written in the student address class, Hibernate should not just insert a record into the student address table, but also should insert all the student objects which are linked to the student address objects. Let's run and test this. Yes, Hibernate has inserted a record into the student address table and also two records into the student table. In the next tutorial, we will learn the concept of a map by property along with knowing the concept of owning and non-owning sites in a Hibernate application in case of a bidirectional mapping. Guys, a big thank you for liking my tutorials on Hibernate. I welcome all your queries, comments and feedback down the video, or send me an email on this ID. Your any sort of interaction make me upload more and more videos, so keep them up through comments, emails, or sharing the information across. Like the video if you really liked it, and I'm gonna catch you in my next tutorial.